It never really goes away and it never really stops. You just don't know how long someone's obsession can last.
Nicole Madigan's nightmare started 5 years ago when she was bombarded with messages from a stranger.
How do you like my sloppy seconds? He always said he hates blondes.
The abusive stranger turned out to be a former girlfriend of her partner Adam.
Enjoys sleeping in the bed with hundreds of times. She was making no secret of who she was, and from that point on, those messages came thick and fast at all different hours of the night. A Madigan. The female carries the rat-face gene. The male tends to stray because the female is uptight and prude.
As Nicole's relationship with Adam became more serious, so too did the harassment.
The personal anxiety that starts to build when someone is continuously contacting you, sending abusive and hurtful messages and seems hell-bent on causing actual destruction. It really does play with your mind.
As the time went on, I started to get a real worry about her mental health and also her physical health.
I made a tart. I call it the Madigan. Ugly on the outside, soggy bottom, made from leftovers. Yeah, you'll be hearing a lot more from me.
She went from this effervescent, extremely happy person to quite sad and worrying person.
The stalker also took aim at Nicole's 6-year-old daughter, as well as posting the wedding venue and home address online.
She knew where and when our wedding was going up. I was really terrified. It's hard not to wonder whether somebody's going to turn up either at your house or at the venue.
Nicole endured almost 3 years of torment before going to the police. 1 in 5 Aussie women and 1 in 15 men experience stalking. And chances are, if you're stalked for more than 2 weeks, it will persist for 6 to 12 months.
Stalking is all about controlling somebody. They are obsessed, but they are also obsessed not just with the victim, but with that psychological advantage that they feel they have.
Narelle spent almost 30 years as a detective with Victoria Police.
Generally, the stalker is somebody you know, not a stranger. It is somebody that you have rejected, a neighbour, somebody that you've worked with, a former partner.
The type of text messages he'd be sending me would alternate between telling me how much he still loved me to then, in the next breath, telling me I'm a fat, ugly whore that deserves to die and that I should watch my back.
Cathy was in her 20s when her ex-partner began stalking her just weeks after they broke up.
I'd be getting at all hours of the night, hang-up calls on the landline, and on more than one occasion I'd come out of somewhere where I'd been with my mates and he would just be there hanging around and preventing me from leaving or going where I wanted.
The intimidation continued for almost a decade.
It affected me being able to sleep, it affected my relationships with other people. I was always looking over my shoulder. I was just feeling constantly in fear.
As the years passed, her stalker became bolder.
When I found out that he'd moved around the corner from me, my heart absolutely sank and my anxiety and fear levels skyrocketed. I'd get a number of messages like, your lights are off, where are you? It makes you feel like that nowhere's safe.
Cathy says she spoke to police on at least 2 occasions, but no charges were laid.
The police are not perfect. They need a lot more training with how to deal with stalkers. I think stalking is a precursor to more serious offences.
The murder of 23-year-old Celeste Mano in 2020 prompted an inquiry by the Victorian Law Reform Commission. Celeste was stabbed to death in her bedroom, allegedly by a colleague who had been stalking her. The Commission recommended changes to the way police respond to stalking complaints.
I wanted to bring this to light because it's that shroud of shame that keeps people quiet.
Nicole's stalker was put on probation for 2 years and is subject to a restraining order.
To me, this was a stranger, but she had caused so much havoc in my life and so much damage.
Nicole has written a book about her experience, and Cathy has become an advocate for victim survivors.
I can't ever really truly escape the feelings of the hypervigilance. That feeling of being completely safe, I've forgotten what that actually feels like.
I think when you've been a victim of stalking, you never really see yourself as anything but that, because you never know when it's going to start back up again.
I think part of the problem is stalking behaviours are really complex, and in isolation it's hard to identify. You need to look at overall the behaviours. And look, police are working to educate their officers, in order to be better able to spot this kind of behaviour. They've got a new screening assessment for stalking and harassment. There are 16 different kind of behaviours they look at, and then they...
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot, and then they grade that low, medium, low, moderate and extreme. So awful to not feel safe in your own hometown.